Dude, these people are so fucking stupid. Dark money is not a super chat. That's not dark money. Bombing hospitals isn't a war crime. Stop saying bombing hospitals is a war crime. She's not making him out to be a martyr. She's making him out to be a missed opportunity. No, dude, what are they saying? Dude, this is just... Okay, so did they do it with prior express consent? This guy's so fucking stupid. And it just totally goes past Hutch that she's just conceded the whole argument. Dude, Hutch is actually so fucking dumb. It's crazy. Okay, fuck it. We might watch Hutch for a bit. I might watch Hutch try and debunk the Taylor Ends article.
On their content. We already read the article. If you guys are desperate for context, you might want to just like pause the stream or, go, try to read it while you're watching the stream. But, the title kind of sums it up, right? She is alleging that there's this
dark I said that when we first covered it. Like, selling your integrity for 8K a month. Crazy stuff.
Group that pays creators to, quote, push the party line. All they have to do is keep it a secret and agree to restrictions on their content. There have been several creators that have come out since this article was posted, refuting not one, not two, but all three of those premises. We have several creators that have come out in the last couple days that are saying that they don't get paid to push the party line. They don't have to keep it a secret, and they have there are no restrictions on what they can do for their content. There's a few responses that I want to watch from various creators. This is one from a creator named Ali. And if we go to her profile, there's a much longer video talking about the allegations made in this article. David Pakman was named in the article. He responded. Brian Tyler Cohen was named in the article. He responded. So I'm just going to assume that a lot of you guys are familiar with the story. I don't want to actually read the entire story again. We did do that a couple days ago. And on its face, I thought, oh, this doesn't sound great. Now, since the posting of this article, they have issued some clarifying parentheticals. Did I say that right? Things that are in parentheses. Wilson maintained in a post-publication email that creators are free to work with other groups or take on other partnerships outside Chorus program and say whatever they want.
You are getting at least 1.25.
Want as part of that work on their own. So there were like 5 of these that were added to the story. I guess Chorus's lawyers got in touch with Wired lawyers, and so they're adding clarifying sentences and parentheses in the article. All right, let's hear from Ali O'Brien.
Hello, I am a leftist that is known for being very critical of the Democratic Party, and I'm a member of a training program called Chorus that teaches political content creators on the left how to grow their platforms and make content creation into a full-time job. I have a slew of receipts to explain why a very fear-mongering article that came out yesterday about how this program works is just very inaccurate, and I think I'm a good person to talk about this because
to be fair, no one answered the initial request for comment. She is actually over here in the replies. If you click on the video and go over here to the replies, she said the reason why she didn't react or respond to the email was that Taylor Lorenz had already written an article that she found kind of shocking in the claims that were being made in the article. And so that was her explanation. I think Taylor is on Twitter telling people that Chorus was threatening its creators if they talked to her. I don't want to miscategorize what she said or mischaracterize what she said, but at least in this instance, this Ali creator said her reason was that she felt like Taylor Lorenz had done a hit job on them.
Because I've seen a lot of people afraid that this program is just a way for Democrats to pay people off to blindly defend Democrats on the internet. And I understand the fear because that would be diabolical if it was true. But this is a video of me yelling at the DNC literally yesterday over their refusal to endorse an arms embargo against Israel. I am not one to hold back on criticizing the Democratic establishment. So I think I'm useful proof that that's not what this program's about. I do feel there's people in this cohort who shill a little bit too hard for the Democrats, but that's a them problem, not a this program problem. Without further ado, let's get into the claims of the article versus my receipts. Okay, so the first main big scary thing that's written into this article is creators told Wired that the contract stipulated they'd be kicked out and essentially cut off financially if they even so much as acknowledged that they were part of the program or that Chorus existed. No. Here's a video of someone named Heidi who's in the cohort explaining what Chorus is and that she's joining it on November 20th, 2024. Here is the Chorus web.
I don't understand this journalism. I don't understand this journalism. How did this? I mean, Wired is they're like a...
Okay, well...
proof that that's not what this was. That would be diabolical if it was
she felt like Taylor
off to blindly defend Democrats on the internet. And I understand the fear because that would be diabolical if it was true. But this is a video of me like yelling at the DNC literally yesterday over their refusal to endorse an arms embargo against Israel. I am not one to hold back on criticizing the Democratic establishment. So I think I'm useful proof that that's not what this program's about. I do feel there's people in this cohort who shill a little bit too hard for the Democrats, but that's a them problem, not a this program problem. Without further ado, let's get into the claims of the article versus my receipts. Okay, so the first like main big scary thing that's written into this article is creators told Wired that the contract stipulated they'd be kicked out and essentially cut off financially if they even so much as acknowledged that they were part of the program or that Chorus existed. No. Here's a video of someone named Heidi who's in the cohort explaining what Chorus is and that she's joining it on November 20th, 2024. Here is the Chorus web.
I don't
in the cohort explaining what Chorus
wait, okay, so that doesn't disprove the claim, right? Just because there is someone who did a Chorus joining announcement video doesn't mean that the contracts they were signing do not say that you cannot, without authorization, talk about your relationship.
Is and that she's joining it on November 20th, 2024. Here is the Chorus web.
I don't understand this journalism. I don't understand this journalism. How did this? I mean, Wired is they're like a legit news outlet. So I assume they have editorial standards. I assume that stories like these need to pass editorial review before they go live, because that's a crazy thing to allege. Creators told Wired that the contract stipulated they'd be kicked out and essentially cut off financially if they even so much as acknowledged that they were a part of the program. And then the next day, there's like fucking 15 creators that are like, what is she talking about? Like showing receipts that they had announced to their audience or disclosed to their audience that they were a part of this program. Okay.
Off financially if they even so much as acknowledged that they were part of the program or that Chorus existed. No. Here's a
IRI is like legitimately mentally disabled.
Video of someone named Heidi who's in the cohort explaining what Chorus is and that she's joining it on November 20th, 2024. Here is the Chorus website that is public facing. Anyone can see it with literal pictures of creators that are in the cohort. In the contract,
that's the other thing too, bro. If you go to their website, so supposedly in this contract, it says you can't say that you're a part of the cohort is what they're calling it, cohort. Otherwise they'll kick you out of the program. And then you go to the fucking website and there's like a carousel of a bunch of creators that are in the program. Like, how does this logically follow? How does that make any sense? I don't know what contract she saw, what provision of the contracts she saw. I do know that oftentimes with contracts, there's the language can be a little confusing. If this program is so clandestine, why do they have a fucking collage of creators that are in the program? How the fuck does that make any sense? Did Taylor Lorenz even just like go to the website? Surely she would have seen this, right?
There is some language that says, hey, please, like before you make a public statement about what Chorus is, just check with us. The reason for that is that, as the article states, there's over 90 influencers in the program, many of whom have very small accounts and joined the program to get like mentorship and happen to be immigrants or
trans. Here's your dark money for the day, Hutch. Release the contracts. Do it Wired.
Technically, I receive dark money every day when I'm streaming. I don't know where this money's coming from. What if it's coming from the Koch brothers?
That's not what dark money means, you fucking retard. Dude, these people are so fucking stupid. That's not what dark money means. Dark money is not a super chat. That's not dark money. When someone super chats, not only is there a username attached to it, additionally, YouTube has records. Google has the payment records. Google has all the if someone needed to know who was paying that money, it's very easy to find out. Google has all the records. It goes through Google. Dark money is obfuscated. The source is obfuscated. The money changes hands, and the source is deliberately obfuscated and doesn't have to be reported.
What if my entire stream are just shadow accounts or sock puppet accounts for the Koch brothers? They're just funneling money to me because they think I actually boost Republicans.
In a red state, right?
I don't know.
Already happen to be kind of in extra danger right now. And so the goal with the like, please check with us clause is to make sure that small creators who already had targets on their back weren't accidentally like featured on a huge page and then suddenly have an onslaught of threats from the right. Or this has never been kept some nefarious secret, right? People have been talking about it. It was more just, hey, this is already an unsafe job for some people. Check with us in advance so you don't accidentally like add to someone's unsafe.
Hold on. I need to mention something that I'm seeing in the YouTube chat. I'm not gonna get one guide, but I feel like we need to focus on what Billy just said in chat because that is what's going on right now. I don't know, Billy, I don't know if you're saying this or if you're repeating something that someone else said, but Billy is talking about like getting paid to not mention Gaza. This is something that is now like, that's the narrative in the black pill lefty media space. That's what they're all going with. They're all going with these creators got paid to not talk about Gaza. It's not a small like group of people that are making this claim. It's everywhere. In fact, and this is one of the reasons why I'm content to just like nuke any possible bridge with Crystal Ball, who just started following me apparently. What the fuck? I don't know how that happened. This is a retweet from Crystal. where she's reposting current affairs. This is run by that guy, Nathan J. Robinson, socialist guy. And he's retweeting the Taylor Lorenz story or quote posting it. And he says, this helps explain why some of the most popular progressive content creators refuse to ever cover Gaza, with the obvious implication being that this program was prohibiting people from speaking about Gaza.
Like, here's it as well. The thing is that super chats are like purchases, right? Super chats are purchases that people make from Google, which is regulated totally differently to political donations. When you purchase a super chat, you're losing 30% of that money. Whatever, you know, some billionaire wants to send Hutch to make him shill Israel through super chats, they will lose 30% of what they spend to do that. And Google gets that money. It's a terrible way of giving money to people. What dark money allows you to do is spend a huge amount of money with little to no accountability in a way that is completely obfuscated from the public. Like, there is you get to transfer a lot of this huge amount of money for politics, so it can be used for politics, right? With super chats, it's not quite the same. It's a purchase.
That seems like the obvious inference, right? I'm not just making that up, right? You guys tell me. You guys tell me. Seems like the obvious inference here, right? I don't know what this article is from, but the article says, the decision to avoid Palestine by Democratic-aligned media seems to be deliberate and goes beyond Midas Touch. Midas Touch is part of a broader universe of content creators that are aligned with the Democratic Party, which include Brian Tyler Cohen and David Pakman, among others. Notably, last March, according to a source with the events, Pakman attended a private off-the-record meeting with Kamala Harris on the day of Joe Biden's State of the Union address. During the trip, he met with Cohen, the Miceless brothers, and dozens of other so-called independent progressive media figures. In an internal email, Pakman later told his staff that the content creators at the White House had talked among themselves, and everyone had admitted that they deliberately avoid producing Gaza coverage in order to prevent controversy. One could argue that this is probably a big reason why these particular influences were invited to the White House in the first place. Pakman, for his part, previously asserted that Israel would never waste ordnance on Palestinian civilians, and that he views Congressman Richie Torres, who is perhaps best known for being one of AIPAC's top recipients of funding, as the kind of person who he would like to see lead the progressive movement. So this little caption here, which, I mean, we can get into this. This really, I don't think is all that complicated. The issue of Gaza is so toxic. Like, you have to be someone who doesn't mind the toxicity. Like, I don't really mind the toxicity, to be honest with you. And so, you know, I was talking about Gaza and Israel like every day for fucking months when that conflict kicked off. Still talk about Gaza pretty regularly. We're kind of circling the drain in a lot of ways. I don't think their minds...
Yeah, Hutch talking about... When Hutch says, yeah, I talk about Gaza pretty regularly. It's... Bombing hospitals isn't a war crime. Stop saying bombing hospitals is a war crime.
Can comprehend the idea that they themselves have made the topic of Gaza so toxic that it would disincentivize other creators from covering the subject.
Right,
Look what
this
happens
is such
if
bitch shit. Politics is toxic. Yes, politics is toxic. People's lives are on the line. Yes, people get up about it, and they'll call you names, and they'll talk crazy shit about you, and they'll do crazy things. Yes, all politics is toxic. If you can't take it, you need to just fucking get out of it, dude. Seriously, it's so crazy.
Anyone talks about Gaza but deviates from any of the established orthodoxy.
I hate this. The fucking constant whinging. The constant... Dude, it's so toxic talking about this issue. I can't take it. Then don't. Then shut up.
Over there. If you agree with them that Palestinians deserve their own state, but it should be a two-state solution, if you think they're doing war crimes but are uncomfortable calling it a genocide, if you think that Netanyahu belongs in jail for war crimes, but you also condemn Hamas,
there's absolutely things you can complain about happening, like Bad and Panada blasting your fucking name. You can complain about that happening, obviously, but when you are constantly bemoaning the toxicity, it's fucking crazy. It's so lame.
Shreds. They will fucking rip you to shreds. We've seen them do it 1,000 times. Where is this orthodoxy established? It's established through bigger content creators. You have like the bigger content creators in the space, and they set the standards. You know, they push one particular interpretation of things or analysis or prescriptive analysis. And anybody that deviates from that, they call them like, you know, they'll go in your mentions and they'll just start lying about you and saying stuff like you want Palestinian kids to be killed or whatever. They'll do that. They will do that to you over and over and over again. So is it any wonder that there are creators in left-wing politics that don't want to cover that? And then also, if you're a creator and you're invested in helping Democrats win elections, kind of makes sense that you would avoid the most incendiary, divisive issue in the entire country. But even still, guys, like, it's not exactly, like, it's still divisive. American voters are kind of hard to pin down one way or the other sometimes. Let me see if I can find. Let me show you guys something. There's a recent Harvard-Harris poll about Israel and Gaza. Even within the Democratic Party, this is according to the Harvard-Harris poll. Again, U.S. voters, we don't necessarily make sense all of the time. Like, sometimes we hold positions that seem and kind of, quite frankly, are contradictory. There's recent polling in the Democratic Party that I think it's like, guys, what did the polling say about what percentage of Democrats call it a genocide? It's like a really big number, right? Is it 90%? Is it 80%? I think it's like 92% of the Democratic Party are calling it a genocide. I could be wrong about that. It could be closer to like 70%. Anyways, it's a big majority. The big majority of Democrats. But according to Harvard-Harris, which they're a reputable pollster, and they've been releasing polling on Israel-Gaza with good deal of frequency for the last 2 years, right? And even with Democrats, guys, 54% of Democrats think that Israel right now should just make a deal with Hamas and end the conflict. But 46% of Democrats say that they should only make a deal if Hamas leaves Gaza. That's pretty divisive. And if you're a content creator and your number one goal is to like help Democrats win elections, kind of makes sense why you avoid particular topics. Anyways, there's a few different reasons why people would avoid that topic. But
yeah, but people are going to see that as a moral failing, right? If they think it's a genocide and they actually believe that, they're going to think that's a huge moral failing, right? Huh? What does he think he's saying here? Yeah, well, of course, like, I don't want, look, fuck. It's so just easy. It's very lazy. I'm gonna do it, okay? I'm being lazy. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do the Holocaust analogy. Yeah, of course I'm talking about the Holocaust. The Dems need to win the election. Stop talking about what Nazi Germany do. Stop talking about Nazi Germany so much. The Dems need to win the next election. So stupid. It'd be so insane.
You guys tell me if I'm crazy, okay? Because is the inference of this current affairs quote post, is it not reasonable to infer that he's saying that maybe these people are getting paid to not cover Gaza? Or maybe these people are prohibited from covering Gaza?
Okay,
by chorus? If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Tell me. Okay. That's not the inference? Well, what's the inference? This helps explain why some of the most popular progressive content creators refuse to ever cover Gaza. What other inference is there here? I'm sorry, I totally disagree with you. What do you think? What do you think it is? What do you think it's explaining? It's that people don't cover Gaza or specifically getting paid? What do you? Okay, Katie, hang on a second, Katie. Then how is the inference not that these creators have a financial, like a financial interest in not covering Gaza because they're being paid by this group? I feel like you got to my point in a roundabout way. I'm gonna get one guide here. I think you're completely off base. I think that's the obvious inference. But that's what they're going with. I don't know. That's and you know, it's just it is extremely disappointing, by the way, to see other lefty content creators that are jumping all over this. Like, they're posting from the Majority Report account about this issue. Yeah, they're amplifying Taylor Lorenz. You know, they're reposting her stuff here from the Majority Report account. I think it gets worse than that. Hold on, let me find it. Emma Vigeland was reposting stuff from her account as well. They're all running with the story. This is like something that I've just been trying to beat over your heads very aggressively in recent weeks.
You can do a comparison with India, so Germany. No, it has to have people dying. It can't be about call centers. Because there is always stuff that you're going to ignore for political effectiveness. Like, Actual Justice Warrior, every video he does is about some crazy black person that got let out of jail in New York too early and then punched someone. Yeah, that's like every single video. But you're never going to see a video about that on Honoring Politics or IRI or David Pacman. And it's totally reasonable for them to, for political effectiveness, choose their topics to be away from stuff like that. But obviously there's a limit, and genocide is past some people's limit. So if you truly believe it's a genocide and these people are ignoring genocide for the purpose of political effectiveness, then yeah, you're going to think that's an insane moral failing, and they should be taking more leadership and taking more of a stand on that issue.
Weeks. These people are. This is war for them. They're waging a total kind of war. They're trying to actively, like, do a hostile takeover. That's what they're doing.
Okay, number 2. According to copies of the contract viewed by Wired, creators in the program must funnel all bookings with lawmakers and political leaders through Chorus. No, again, I literally have the contract right here. I'll talk through it in a minute.
Somebody said, I still don't really understand what the allegation is. In a nutshell, the allegation is in the, what do you call this, a byline? An initiative aimed at boosting Democrats online offers influencers up to $8,000 a month to push the party line. All they have to do is keep it a secret and agree to restrictions on their content. The long and short of it is that they are being paid to do curated propaganda that is approved by the group that is paying them. That is the main accusation. And then it's now morphed into, they are accusing these people of not talking about Gaza because they were being paid by Chorus. That's what it's like turned into. She doesn't make that claim in this article. She mentions Gaza. Well, I mean, look, hold on. She doesn't come out and say that. It's about sending a message. She doesn't say that in so many words. What she says on Gaza here is, for years, Democrats have struggled to work with influencers. In 2024, President Joe Biden's White House snubbed several prominent content creators after they lightly criticized the administration over its policies on climate change, COVID, Gaza, and the TikTok ban. I would love to know, because she keeps it very general right here. Several prominent content creators. This is a WAPO article from Taylor Lorenz. I want to know what creators she references in this article, and I want to see if they lightly criticized. I really want to see if they lightly criticized Biden on Gaza and fucking climate change. Like, find me one like very progressive or far lefty creator that lightly criticized Joe Biden. Okay. Content creators who challenged Kamala Harris, including Hassan Piker, a well-known influencer on the left, were similarly unwelcome at campaign events. Never mind the fact that this guy got invited to DNC and they gave him like a VIP like Sky Lounge for a bit. Okay. Nonetheless, like, why do I need to explain why Democratic Party operatives and campaign managers would be reticent to invite Hassan Piker to their event? Why do I need to explain this? She's making Hassan out to be a martyr in this article.
No, she's making Hassan out to be a missed opportunity. She's not making him out to be a martyr. She's making him out to be a missed opportunity. Taylor Lorenz's view is obviously that Democrats could win a lot of votes if they took advantage of people like Hassan Piker, whether they've got issues or not. That's obviously Taylor Lorenz's view. So she's saying that. She's saying this was a huge missed opportunity. Instead, people are doing this shit.
After the Democrats lost in November, they faced a reckoning. It was clear the party had failed to successfully navigate the new media landscape, while Republicans spent decades building powerful and robust independent media infrastructure, maximizing controversy to drive attention and maintaining tight relationships with creators despite their small agreements with Trump. The Democrats have largely relied on outdated strategies and traditional media to get their message out. We don't need to go further than that, but like, the furthest she went referencing Gaza in this article was that there were creators that were, what she says, lightly criticized Biden on Gaza. I would really love to see her version of light criticism. She was kind of careful in how she did the sentence here, because she separated the reference to Hassan Piker. She separated that out from the original claim that there were content creators that were lightly criticizing Biden. She follows it up with content creators who challenged Kamala Harris, including Hassan Piker. So she didn't sort of include him in the whole like lightly criticizing, because that would be insane, right? Mr. Everything with $20, we really need to think about our alliances, because this is getting ridiculous. The far left is not a part of us, and the longer they're here, the worse it gets. I know we're supposed to be a big tent, but these people, right out the airlock, just to be clear. I disagree with Destiny on this. Like, I'm perfectly fine to have a socialist in the coalition. Sock them, socialists. You can call yourself a Marxist. As long as you're pragmatic, then I welcome you. I mean, Destiny was doing this whole thing like a month ago where he was just like any socialist whatsoever should just be kicked out. I think that's way too broad. That's why I try to come up with like a new term, the black pill, right? I mean, I can't think of
snark left, Hutch.
Think about it this way, guys. Like, you guys understand how serious it is to accuse someone of being paid to not talk about Gaza? Do you guys understand how do I want to phrase this? Accusing someone of that in their space is kind of the worst thing that you could accuse someone of doing. It's like one of the worst things that you could do in their minds, because it touches on a couple different things.
When is Borderlands 4 out? That's like the next few days, right? 12th of September, 8 days. Does it have the access if you pre-order it? Doesn't look like it. No, I don't think so.
At the same time. Number one, it touches on their sort of like anti-capitalist stance on things. Oh, you're being paid to not talk about Gaza? So it's like corruption and then genocide apologia or genocide denial or genocide denial propaganda. You're getting paid to do genocide denial. Or you're getting paid to not talk about a genocide. Like, these things together represent, it's like the worst thing you could accuse someone of doing if you're in that space. And so now when you go to all these creators, and it's not based on anything. They're not basing this on anything. The idea that these people were being paid to not talk about Gaza is not based on anything. And yet when you go in Brian's mentions, and when you go in these other people's mentions, and then if you click like the For You tab of Twitter and you start seeing other stuff about this topic start popping up on your feed, that's what they're going with. That's what these people are going with. That's what Crystal meant when she retweeted that thing from Current Affairs. That is a really intense accusation and smear to level at someone. So when I tell you these people are going to war, they are out for blood. That's what's happening. That's the moment we're in. And people come at my neck because I'm fucking talking about it. People are like, you spend so much time talking about them. This is why. This is fucking why. This is why I'm talking about it. It's obvious what they're doing. We are literally never going to get through this video. I'm just going to try my best to not pause.
But first, let me show you this. Here's an email of me.
But I do need to, no, I'm just kidding.
Directly reaching out to the Zoran campaign to try to interview him, because Chorus does not control who I interview or what I post. I also sometimes text the comms directors directly of like Congress people that I want to interview, because usually the congressional offices will give out these little business cards. And this is not like specific to content creators. This is just like if you go to try to talk to your senator, their people will give you little business cards. Blur out the name of the specific person, awkward, but like anybody can get these business cards and then you can just text them. Chorus does not control that. I've done lots of congressional interviews and usually I just set them up myself. And here's the section of the contract, right, that confirms that. It says they want you to disclose to Chorus any engagement with government officials related to Chorus's policy agenda that
Let's yeah, so look at this. So she highlights this part and reads this part out. Disclose to Chorus newsroom personnel any engagements with government officials or others on related topics related to Chorus's policy agenda that contractor arranges through other means. And 3, the part she doesn't read out, collaborate fully with Chorus regarding all such blah 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 of engagements. So what Taylor Enns was saying, so Chorus can be part of whatever they want. Right. So Taylor Enns was right, is what you're saying. When you said you were debunking this, you meant you were proving it.
to try to talk to your senator, their people will give you little business cards. Blur out the name of the specific person, awkward, but like anybody can get these business cards and then you can just text them. Chorus does not control that. I've done lots of congressional interviews and usually I just set them up myself. And here's the section of the contract, right, that confirms that. It says they want you to disclose to Chorus any engagement with government officials related to Chorus's policy agenda that contractor, that's me, I'm the contractor, arranges through other means, right? So if I just arrange it myself with a congressperson, I just let Chorus know so that they know that congressperson's open to book.
And collaborate fully with Chorus, you fucking idiot. Dude, it's so crazy. It's so dishonest. It's so dishonest.
And other people in Chorus can do it too. Accidentally, I always forget to let Chorus know. Like, I don't think I've ever told them that before, but that's not what's important. What's important is other.
Yeah, collaborate fully with Chorus regarding all such separately arranged engagements. Chorus, or contractor.
They're literally acknowledging here that you can book it yourself, and the fact that that congressperson, right? So if I related to Chorus's policy, the section of the that contractor, that's me, I'm the contractor, arranges through other means, right? So if I just arrange it myself with a congressperson, I just let Chorus know so that they know that congressperson's open to booking, and other people in Chorus can do it too. Accidentally, I always forget to let Chorus know. Like, I don't think I've ever told them that before, but that's not what's important. What's important is that they're literally acknowledging here that you can book it yourself, and the fact that the person who wrote this article claims to have read through the entire contract, but like, here it is.
Contractor further agrees to participate in newsroom opportunities more than twice per month.
Clearly written that what you stated in your article was categorically false. Like, that is quite concerning about your journalistic integrity. Like, here it is clearly written that what you stated.
It's quite worrying about your journalistic integrity. So true. So true.
Quite concerning about your journalistic integrity. Like, I get that these contracts are...
It sure is.
...long and confusing. That's why people have lawyers and managers to help them, but you don't write an article about it unless you understand what's going on. This whole article is just written like, you know, this group, they have money and so they control them, and it's just like, no, that's not what's happening. If there's someone in this cohort that you are like, they are too much of a shill, doing whatever the Democratic Party says, it's not this program that's the reason for that. I don't know how to put this nicely. It's either a personal moral failing by those people, or it's a different contract they're under that says they can't criticize Dems, but it's not this one, because I'm under this contract, and you can catch me on the daily making fun of Andrew Cuomo.
Like, the very existence of her in this program completely annihilates the premise that this group was paying people to toe the party line and not talk about Gaza. Okay, why is she in the group then? Like, how does that make sense? Hold on. I think this is her shitting on Cory Booker.
Tweeted, left and right, Republicans and Democrats, Americans agree. The starvation in Gaza is unacceptable. Later that night, he voted.
Mr. Everything with $10. I agree with you, Hutch, but the problem is sock Dems and the Marxists are spreading this too. Literally open X to see these parasites just spreading baseless lies. Well, I mean, listen, I can't speak to that, but if somebody comes to me and they're like, oh, you know, I call myself a Marxist or I call myself a socialist, and I say, okay, well, you know, what's your voting strategy? And they say, well, you know, I'm pragmatic about voting and I understand that Republicans are just way worse and I think the Democrats are the better option and I'm going to, you know, vote for Democrats. Then I'm not going to tell that person, no, you can't be in the coalition. I think that's just stupid. And I also think, guys, quite frankly, a lot of young people, they take a kind of academic interest in Marxism or socialism when they're in college, and then they grow up and then they kind of grow out of it. Like that happens a lot. Should we be actively chasing out like a 23-year-old who calls himself a Marxist because they took some courses in college and became interested in it? You know, like, should I actively try to chase that person out if they're telling me that they're okay with being pragmatic? You know, that just seems kind of silly to me, right?
Voted to send more bombs to Israel. Adam Schiff of California tweeted, children are starving. Civilian unalivings continue to mount. Hostages are still held. The next day, he voted to send more bombs to Israel. Senator
Hutch could probably benefit from taking an academic interest in literally anything, frankly.
She is more than shitting on what many people refer to as, you know, the establishment Democrats. She is laying into them and just straight up calling them complicit in a genocide. There's another video of her talking about genocide, but you get the point. Like, this is a pretty far lefty creator. This is probably someone whose content that I would not like.
Just
to be quite frank with you, I would have to watch a few more videos.
Like,
and she's in the
minutes,
program.
Please.
How the fuck is that possible? If this program is to pay creators to push the party line, what the fuck is she doing in this program? How does that make any sense? Someone explain that to me. Alex with the tier 2 membership. Thank you so much for that. Aiden with 30 months. Thank you.
Cory Booker calling for Chuck Schumer to lose his job. Take your pick. I have heard of contracts that exist that restrict what people can say bad about Democrats, but this is not one of them. This contract actually has no bearing on a single thing that we ever post, which brings me to my next section. The next part, and this is a really important part, I'm going to try to explain this as well as I can, but feel free to comment questions, is that the contracts reviewed by Wired prohibit standard partnership disclosures. What she's talking about, okay, a standard partnership disclosure is when you make a video in partnership with an org like the ACLU, and so then you put ACLU partner as a disclosure in your caption. There is very important context left out of this article of why the standard disclosures aren't the kind we use at Chorus, and that's because Chorus never pays us to make a video. The author of this article actually said that in a comment. You're correct that Chorus does.
This is Taylor Lorenz herself saying the Chorus didn't pay them to post specific content. So like typically when you do disclaimers, it's like if you're being paid to do a particular kind of content, like if I get a sponsored stream with
yes, okay, so but then tell us so it prohibits standard disclosures. So what was the process? What was the recommendation for disclosure? Because that's important.
PAX East last month or the month before. It's in the title, you know, like PAX partner. I'll do like a verbal disclosure. When I was doing stuff with Progressive Victory, I would tell you guys on stream that I was in a sponsored relationship. I don't know how I phrase it exactly, but
yeah, but this
disclosing to you guys.
But in this, Progressive Victory didn't prohibit you from disclosing in any way. A lot of these guys didn't disclose very well at all, but it didn't prohibit you from disclosing in any way, as far as I know.
Guys, whenever I would do those sorts of things, there's still a Nightbot command right there. If you're not getting paid to do any content, that's a whole different kind of thing, right?
Doesn't pay you to post specific content.
Progressive Victory wasn't paying you to do content. That was the line. Wait, is that forgotten? Progressive Victory wasn't paying for content. You were just going to weekly meetings, weekly check-ins.
This is a training program where I learn things like what lights to buy if I want to film a YouTube video and what policy experts are saying about gerrymandering in Texas and National Guard in DC. So since Chorus is about like personal development and they're never paying you to make a video, of course you're not putting like Chorus partnership in your caption. That's not how that would work. So I don't fault anyone who read this sentence and was like, that is so evil, because a lot of people who consume content don't necessarily know the way that the logistics of like, you know, your partnership labels work. But I am frustrated at the author of this article for not adding like the relevant context here, because she is not supposed to publish an article unless it's been like very fact checked and contextualized. And this was like very misleading. And then I also highlighted this section I accidentally talked about it.
Like, this sentence here, right? The contracts reviewed by Wired prohibit standard partnership disclosures, declaring that creators will not publicize their relationship with Chorus or tell others that they're members of the program without Chorus's prior express consent. This part right here, like declaring that creators will not publicize their relationship with Chorus, all you had to do was click on a lot of these creators' profiles.
No, dude, what are they saying? Dude, this is just... So, she hasn't contested the key point here. Prohibit standard partnership disclosures. Yes, they do prohibit standard partnership disclosures. Declaring the creators will not publicize their relationship with Chorus or tell others that they're members of the program without Chorus's prior express consent. So is that true? Because that's the bad part. The bad part is not standard partnership disclosures. You don't do like hashtag ad. Okay, fine. So what is disclosure? Okay, well, it's only with Chorus's prior express... Okay, that is bad.
Express consent. This part right here, like declaring that
creators
will not publicize their relationship with Chorus. All you had to do was click on a lot of these creators' profiles and like do a simple keyword search.
How would that disprove a claim, retard? How would that disprove a claim in the article, you fucking idiot?
In their profile? Like, you know, partnered up with Chorus or whatever. Like, people had it like...
How would that disprove the claim in any way?
Like, literally on their public profile, when you click on their profile page. Like, all you would have had to have done would be like a really kind of minimal amount of like research.
Dude,
if she was given a
you're
list...
such a fucking idiot. This guy is so dumb. This guy is so fucking stupid, dude. That wouldn't disprove the claim. Don't tell others without our express consent. Well, some people have told others. Okay, so did they do it with prior express consent? It doesn't disprove the fucking claim in the article. Dude. This guy's so fucking stupid.
List of 90 creators. She says it's like 90 creators. And she couldn't find any of them talking about their partnership with Chorus. And all these receipts end up on the timeline yesterday of people like disclosing that they were a part of this. Like, clearly that wasn't true, right? If someone's actions result in the enemy's winning, they are effectively your enemy. I mean, that's what I've been saying for fucking years, right?
Earlier in the video, creators will not publicize the relationship with Chorus or tell others they're a member of the program without Chorus.
Dude, Hutch is one of the dumbest motherfuckers online.
But also, lots of things in contracts are written very strict in case of legal emergency. I've told plenty of people casually that I'm in Chorus, and Chorus does not care. They've expressly told us that that's fine. This is just for if someone does something like diabolically evil, and then Chorus has to sue them, and they can just be like, girl, the contract. Like, it makes it easier in court. They don't really care about it otherwise. It's not top secret. If you want more examples of people who publicly...
Does she think that's... So the contract does say that. So the contract does say that. That's not Taylor Lorenz fucking up reporting then. She's right. That is what the contract says. You can claim, oh, Chorus are very laissez-faire about it. But that's not what the contract says, is it? The contract doesn't say you can tell whoever you want. And that's what Taylor Lorenz is reporting on, is what the fucking contract says. Dude. And it just totally goes past Hutch that she just conceded the whole argument.
Publicize the relationship with Chorus or tell others they're a member of the program without Chorus's prior express consent. This is the protecting small creators part, but also lots of things in contracts are written very strict in case of legal emergency. I've told plenty of people casually that I'm in Chorus, and Chorus does not care. They've expressly told us that that's fine. This is just for if someone does something like diabolically evil, and then Chorus has to sue them, and they can just be like, girl, the contract. Like, it makes it easier in court. They don't really care about it otherwise. It's not top secret. If you want more examples of people who publicly talked about Chorus for a while, I'm happy to provide them. Feel free to comment. I just used Heidi's example because I think it's just very...
So the contract says they're not allowed to divulge that they have a relationship with Chorus, and yet there's this video of this person back in November saying, "Hey guys, I'm joining Chorus. Here's what it is." Like, how does that make sense?
Dumb is this? Okay, dude, Hutch is actually so fucking dumb. It's crazy, dude.
Two more things to address in this video, and then feel free to comment if you have more things you want me to explain. But the first is, we've talked a lot about what Chorus is not, because that article led people to believe that it was this, a plot by the DNC to be able to just pay people off to blindly obey them. Now that that's been debunked, let's talk about what Chorus actually is. I have my Google Calendar for the week here to explain.
Like, I don't think she's supposed to do this, by the way. I'm almost certain that this would be in the NDA. In fact, I think in the article, it said that they were NDA'd and they couldn't talk about like what specifically they did in the program, which again is completely standard, but if she's trying to do damage control, I kind of don't blame her for violating an NDA, and I really doubt Chorus would take any action for her violating an NDA if she did.
Every morning we start off with a news update meeting. Okay, we meet for 15 minutes. I wake up and I'm immediately just told what the news of the day is, and we all get a chance to ask like questions if we want to know how a specific lawsuit is developing or what is Trump expected to do next with the National Guard. Right? We're just making sure we're all the most informed. These are very brief. Sometimes they're 5 minutes. Then 3 times a week in the afternoon we have a more like specific training. On Mondays we have technical trainings. That's where we learn about a specific platform. So like someone will come and explain how you start a Substack or how you start YouTube long form.
David A. Pac-Man lol cowing out and threatening to sue. This has been a wild few days. The responses made things so much worse.
Thank you for $5. No, I haven't seen all the David Pac-Man stuff. But, they should sue. They should. They should send a demand letter to Wired. Pac-Man and BTC should send a demand letter to Wired, denying the retractions. Have them make sure they look at it again. Make sure they look over the article again. They stand by it, and they really believe it's untrue. They should sue. Because right now, it seems like it's true. So they would fucking lose. As far as I can tell.
On Wednesdays, we have advocacy training, which is where we hear from an expert in a specific policy field. So recently it's been...
Well, that's why, like, this isn't like a YouTuber saying this about you. It's not like, oh, we have to be concerned about space. No, this is a fucking news org that has said they're standing by this reporting. So start the legal process. If they're lying about you, start the legal process.
A lot of people who work in like immigration explaining ICE or explaining the logistics of the National Guard, that kind of thing. And then Fridays are a little bit more flexible and they're optional. I haven't gone to them, so I won't speak on it. And that is the weekly schedule. And the whole point of it is that you're like developing your channel over the course of 6 months so that hopefully by the end of it, you can be your own self-sufficient full-time content creator. Because people who work in politics on social media often have a hard time getting funding. It's hard to make it your job. But the right does a really good job of making it people's jobs, such that the political right actually pushes out 500 times as much content as the political left. That's an actual statistic every single day. They are outperforming us in volume.
I have a hard time believing that. Does she mean that they get 500 times more engagement or 500 times more volume? I have a really hard time believing that. How do you even assess something like that too? Yeah, that's my question. How would you even measure that? I mean, that's like, it's just an infinite ocean of content every day. How are you aggregating a sample size? You know, like produce content? Maybe. I don't know. I'm very curious about that claim. Maybe she's right, but I just want to know where they got that.
Volume incredibly because they just make sure that people can do it as a job. That's what this program is trying to accomplish to counter like the manosphere. Last thing I want to talk about is my belief that the election funding system in this country is like fundamentally broken. And I want to talk a little bit about the logistics of dark money because it's not really explained in this article. Dark money is there. I mean,
what they do would say anything here? Is there anything else here, or is it just
potential funding that we can use?
That's not. It's the 1630 fund. I was like, right, okay. Not the biggest fan of their other work. Let me think on this. And obviously I ended up joining, but it was not without serious deliberation with my friends and my family and my...
There's more to this story because the 1630 fund, there was reporting on this, that one of the main funders is the same family. What's the name of the family? It's like older... It starts with an O and ends with an R. But one of the main funders for the 1630 project is this old eBay founder who has like billions of dollars. There was some reporting that discovered, and this same guy, started another group to focus on empowering journalists by giving them $8,000 stipend, a $2,000 budget per month to do travel. And guess who is in this program collecting that stipend? You'll never guess. Fucking Taylor Lorenz. Do I need to explain how fucking crazy this is? Her cope is that the specific LLC that was formed to empower journalists, they don't take dark money, but it's literally the same guy who funds that program that she's in also funds the 1630 project. It's insane.
Management and the people who run Chorus. And ultimately, like, I want to sort of lay out for you who may be curious what my thought process looked like.
Okay, and? So?
I decided that my distaste for the fact that the 1630 fund funds some, congressional Democrat campaigns with methods that I don't like was outweighed by the potential benefit of a separate program where they have no control over what I say, where I'd be a leftist voice in a first of its kind incubator program for 90 people to combat the manosphere. I was like, you know what? This program is imperfect, but I think that I can do good from it. And I think that the threat of fascism is...
And she made the correct decision, by the way. She made the correct decision. You can be uncomfortable with dark money in political spending and at the same time recognize the massive asymmetry between left-wing and right-wing creators in independent alternative media. She made the correct choice. That's what she should have done.
It's so big right now that there might need to be an order of operations, right? We need to get rid of the fascist threat of Donald Trump trying to take everything over. And then once me and...
Yes! We need to build political power. And then once we're in a position of political power where we can do something about these mechanisms that fund...
We just take the dark money, and then we'll get rid of dark money when we're in power. So true, Hutch.
Political coverage and politicians. Then we can do that then. But we have to win elections. We cannot just cede that entire space to them. Standing on principles. Give me a fucking break, okay?
And us buddies are in power, then we get rid of the dark money mechanism. So
Hutch isn't a big fan of principles, I guess.